Messmer the Impaler could be one of the hardest bosses in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, but we're here to help. He's got a fast attacking spear, a slew of fire attacks, and 2 slithering snakes. Messmer is no joke, but with a good setup and the right dodge timing, you'll put the slithery snake man down for good in no time. First things first, defense. Like all bosses in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Messmer the Impaler does tons of damage, and most of that is fire damage. The Flame Drake Talisman +2 makes you take 20% less, and there's a +3 version in the Fort of Reprimand in South Scadu Altus. This talisman makes a huge difference against Messmer. You should also go into the fight with as much health as possible for the best chances of survival. With the Crimson Amber Medallion +3 from the Death Knight boss in the Fog Rift Catacombs right after you start the expansion, plus 60 Vigor and Morgoth's Great Rune, you have nearly 2,600 health. That's enough to survive one of Messmer's combos but still recover. If you're struggling with Messmer, it might be because your Scadutree Blessing isn't high enough. You should get as many Scadutree fragments as you can. Your Scadutree Blessing goes a long way towards increasing your power in the expansion, and the higher your Scadutree level, the easier the fight against Messmer will be. Make sure to explore as much of the Land of Shadow as you can before fighting him if you're really struggling. You can access Gravesite Plain, Scadu Altus, Jagged Peak and the Cerulean Coast before fighting Messmer, and there are dozens of Scadutree fragments to find everywhere. Lastly, I recommend you talk to Needle Knight Leda after you approach Shadowkeep and trigger the "Somewhere a Great Rune has broken" message. She asks you to choose between the Horn Scent and Theolier. I chose the Horn Scent and he appeared as a summon in Messmer's boss room, which was a great help. He was a capable ally throughout the whole fight, so I recommend you do the same. After you enter the Fog Gate, you have a brief moment for a quick ranged attack or to summon a spirit before Messmer strikes, but be as fast as you can. You can see that I open with an Ancient Lightning Spear, and it takes a decent chunk off Messmer's health bar before the fight even starts. At the beginning of the fight, Messmer usually launches himself into the air and barrels towards you. You need to dodge once to avoid the initial blast, wait a very brief moment, and then dodge again to avoid the fiery explosion afterwards. After he lands, if you haven't already summoned your spirit, do it now. Summon the Horn Scent as well, using the summon sign, and get ready to dodge Messmer's first set of melee strikes, as he'll come straight at you. Messmer uses a spear, so his melee strikes have a huge range. You can either outrange them by keeping your distance, or dodge them by rolling to the side. I chose the former strategy, I kept my distance, but the spear strikes aren't too difficult to dodge once you nail the timing. The nastiest attack you need to worry about though is Messmer's grab. He grabs you, wreaths you in flame, and impales you on his spear. It deals huge damage and takes off most of your health bar if you don't have dozens of Scadutree fragments already, so make sure to dodge away when he lunges for you, and always keep your eyes peeled for this attack when you have aggro. When you get Messmer down to around 50 to 60% health, he transitions to phase 2, and this is where things get ugly. He transforms into a giant snake and becomes wildly unpredictable. The snake's head takes more damage though, so always aim for it when you can. While retaining most of his phase 1 moveset, Messmer intermittently turns into a snake and lunges at any target in his range. It's easy to see when the snake is aimed at you, so wait for the snake's jaws to open, then dodge before it makes contact with your character. The snake always rears backwards before using a bite attack, and the timing is very similar for every attack, so it should be easy to dodge once you get used to it. You can see me awkwardly fail to dodge the attack in the video, but I followed my own build advice, so I'm tanky enough to recover. You have a brief moment of opportunity to strike Messmer when he bites the ground as a snake and transforms back into his humanoid form. He usually follows this up with spear strikes or a grab attack, which you should be able to dodge if you're used to dodging his attacks in phase 1. The trickiest part of phase 2, though, is keeping your eyes on Messmer and maintaining the right distance while he's darting around the room as a snake. Messmer's snake form is incredibly fast, so any build that deals range damage or has a range component performs better than melee in this fight. Regardless, even if you're an in-your-face melee character, Messmer's second phase is more than doable as long as you get used to dodging his attacks, attacking during the safe windows, particularly while he's transforming, and landing hits on his head in snake form. Let your summons take the heat and play it safe if you start taking damage, and above all, don't let Messmer grab you. Keep the pressure on and you'll overcome Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree's signature boss.